prophecies, revelations, economic collapse, martial law, social and civil war, aliens, human hybrids, Nephilim, the Great Deception, world chaos, tsunamis. You want to stay tuned for special edition End Time Revelations with Pastor Henry Schaefer and Pastor Steve Hall. And thank you for joining us for our special edition End Time Revelation Seer Project. Welcome aboard. Hey, buckle down your seatbelt. Stay with us for the next hour. See what we can learn together about the world in which we live, the demonic realm, and the battle in which every Christian is engaged, whether they know it or not. I'm Pastor Steve Hall from the Johnson Church of God. One of the hosts, and host number 2 is sitting right there behind the board. It is Brother Henry Schaefer. Good to see you.
Glad to be in the studio with you, Brother Steve. We've got a great lineup here today. It's the week after the Super Bowl. We're going to be talking about some things about that
about the Super
as well.
Bowl.
Tomorrow, Friday, there's going to be a celestial a program in the sky.
Yeah.
Some things that's going to be taking place. But you're tuned in right now. It is Thursday, February the 9th. It's 2 o'clock, a little bit after 2 o'clock here in Williston, South Carolina. And we're just glad to have you on board with us. Project Seer, Special Edition, End Time Revelations. We take things that are happening in the world, kind of look at it through the biblical perspective, open the eyes up to God's people so that they can able to digest what's going on around them. So I hope you enjoyed the program today.
Yeah. So we got some very special things. Maybe the first thing we want to talk about is something that President Trump was working on. And do we have that video?
Yeah, let me get this ready right here.
Yeah,
you know, we had some reports that he changed a few things. He pardoned the whistleblowers of Nibiru, the project. They worked on Nibiru. So some may be tuning in for the first time. So give us a kind of a background on what that is and what he's done.
Well, in Reagan's administration, there was an act passed that anybody working on the Nibiru project was silenced. You know, they seen the dangers coming. That was, I forgot the year, but it was in his administration. And a lot of these scientists wanted to be whistleblowers, and they were trying to get the public aware there was this great catastrophe possibly coming our way. And guess what? Many of them were murdered. Yes, I'm talking about a guy.
Now, you followed up on this pretty good, didn't you?
Well, yeah, you're going to get the clip's going to help you out a lot. Many of them died, listen, of unexpected heart attacks. Many of them killed themselves reportedly. Now, you got to understand, when the government does things sometimes, they make it look like they kill themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Suicide all the time. It's just one of the big ways they do it. So you'll find out here in this little clip that it was a big deal to keep it under wraps, and they didn't want it getting out from under their control.
So what they did, understand that they look through the telescopes, see this huge planet, asteroid, something's coming this way.
Yeah.
And they have been discovering that they've known it for years. And the scientists found this, and they wanted to, hey, y'all, this thing's coming. But the government says, no, you can't tell anybody.
They're trying to keep us calm and in the dark about everything, really.
Oh, yeah.
We were just talking about chemtrails when I first showed up because they were spraying our area big time. And I seen one of the jets just wasn't spraying chemtrails. They had the condensation trail behind it. Just a little while, it thinned out and disappeared. And these other ones are flying over. They're spraying a thicker cloud, and it's spreading out all over the place. It's not going anywhere. Instead of dissipating, it just stays silvery looking and just widens out.
I tell my wife.
Spraying all over the place.
I said, look at the chemtrails up there. She said, what are you talking about? She said, oh, then just jets flying across there.
No.
I said, baby, no, they're doing something. Oh, you're just going too far. Y'all been talking on that radio too much.
Yeah, well, they need to do their own homework.
Well,
Sister Schaefer, because if you do enough, you're going to see this is absolutely documented. They've got the photos. They've got the pictures. They've got the whistleblowers. Hey, the government doesn't deny it.
No.
They're not denying it. They just won't tell you why they're doing it.
So you're talking about, let's stay there a moment. So you're talking about they're spraying stuff in the sky.
Yeah.
For what reason?
Nano aluminum particles, boron particles. We're talking about nanoparticles now. These are small enough to
Those
get in
are
every
tiny.
blood cell. They're small enough to get in the blood cells and get into your cells. Every cell of your body can have this poison in it.
Yeah.
And of course, it's been really happening for the last 10 years. And if you listen to the doctors telling us autism, Alzheimer's, ADHD, all the things that are plaguing our children, especially right now, are the product or the result of the product that is getting sprayed right now. So should we be alarmed? Should we be crying out? Absolutely. And if you're uneducated on it, this program is not for that. But I challenge you to go to YouTube. Well, if you don't go to YouTube, go to other places. Look up some of the doctors who are not part of the system, and they're real doctors. And they're saying the reason that this spike in autism and all these things have come up in the last 10 years, and you go to the people who study the geo doctors. I don't know, the geographical studies, and they study the water, they study the soil, and they study the air. All right? Those people have said the same thing. The content of aluminum, boron, and poisons that are in the atmosphere and in the soil and in the water right now is unprecedented. And it started 10 years ago, and it's continued to spike. And it's in all the food that we eat. The cows are drinking the water and eating the grass that are contained. It's getting in their meat. You buy their meat, you chewing it up, swallowing it. And if you buy lettuce, it's the same thing. Even if it's organically grown, it's still sprayed from the top. So these microorganisms are still in them.
So if you put your tin hat on, it don't matter.
Yeah, you can put your head in the sand like an ostrich and nothing matters. I mean,
this is amazing stuff we're talking about here.
And I challenge everybody, don't take my word for it.
And that was just like driving in. I saw them today, too.
Yeah.
I was down at the tower, and I looked out there, and I said, if I told my wife about what these jets flying over here spraying, I said, she wouldn't believe it.
She wouldn't believe it. So here's what I did. I was right there on Pine Log Road, right between the BP station and McDonald's, and I was in a long waiting line trying to turn left to come to the studio. First, I was going to get something to eat. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I look up, and to my right, the sky is as clear as a bell. That's to my right.
Blue.
To my left, I see planes flying, and I see the spray coming, and it is, some of them are brand new chemtrails. I'm watching some of the planes spray it, all right? And it's different because I'm looking at one that's just got the condensation trail, and then right to my left, there's another one, and its trail is 5 times as wide and much thicker. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying, now that jet looks okay. And I watched that trail. In about 20 minutes, it was gone. It started thinning out, started vaporizing, and the other plane that was spraying, let me tell you, it didn't disappear. It only spread out.
Widens out.
It widens out. Yeah. And then it looks like one wide cloud, and you don't know how many miles long. That's not a cloud, y'all. That's a chemtrail.
Yeah.
And then they crisscross them, and it looks sometimes like a checkerboard up there, and then they'll start spreading out. Next thing you know, you say, oh, it's just got cloudy.
You think Donald Trump knows about this?
Yes, he does, and I just seen a little thing. He's trying to stop it.
Really?
Yep. I didn't watch it, but I seen the headline.
Some liberal judge is standing in the way.
We need to change a lot of things in this country, and thankfully Donald Trump is there, and I think he's trying to do some of it.
Sounds good. So
here's the thing is, just going back to that real quick, one of the things is their children's breathing the same air.
Yeah.
Now, does that make any sense?
No.
It doesn't make any sense, but I seen one guy says, don't you think, or don't you know, is what his point of view was, is that they've already got an antidote to reverse the Alzheimer's, to reverse the effects of these things in their own children, and they'll give them that, and their children will be fine, and the rest of the world will be affected.
Yeah.
I say, you know what, it could be. I don't want to take risk with my children, but you know what, I'm going to pray over it. The Bible says they shall drink any deadly thing.
Shall not hurt them.
So I'm starting to pray, God, all the things they're trying to spray.
I pray that over Diet Pepsi.
I don't blame you. You need to, because it's right there. There's a bunch of poison in that stuff too. I'd pray over everyone, the diet ones especially. Anyway, that's some of the things I was thinking about as it's coming in.
I saw the chemtrails too.
You did?
So now, and you were telling me about it, I'm going, I know this stuff, and I try to tell people this stuff, but when you tell them, like my wife, it's like,
you're crazy.
Yeah, you're nuts.
Well, we are. We're Christians.
Yeah, I guess I just kind of like, the world's going, brother, it's bad out there. Everything. Like someone told me at church, you could get a spirit of heaviness on you. I said, well, we have another class. It's called Jesus Loves Me class over there. Jesus loves me, this I know, for to buy. You can go over and feel good and forget that we're in the end times.
You know, Jesus said, when you see all these things come to pass, look up. Well, I started looking up, and all I see is somebody trying to spray my view.
Chemtrails.
They kind of spray my view.
And so now we're going to go past the chemtrails. We're going to go way on out there to a planet or a dark star called Planet X or Nibiru, one of the planets with it, coming this way. They found it years ago, and the whistleblowers wanted to say something about it, and Reagan came up with a
silence order.
I mean, it's like, if you say anything about it, so we're going to kill you.
Well, they didn't probably say that until
they started
became
talking.
Whistleblowers, and they said, okay. And I believe they give them a warning. You shut up and go home, or you'll be disappeared.
Or your families.
Yeah.
And that would be the thing. We'll take care take you out or your families out.
And here's the thing, some people want to say,
I would say someone to go and take them out. You're all right.
You know, they would say,
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, our government would never do that. That's some people's thinking. Our government will never do that. You need to wake up.
Yeah, right.
The government's done that before, and
a lot
it's still
more.
doing it. And yes, and a lot more.
Probably that's a couple of presidents.
That's been doing it for a long time. Ever since World War II, they've been spraying something on the American population. And there was a good video by Lisa Haven. Y'all need to look her up. Lisa Haven on YouTube. She did an excellent job. She got historical documents because their time of secrecy was up.
Right.
She got them and read them, and it told what parts of the country they sprayed with what germ.
Yeah.
They used American citizens as guinea pigs then, and they're still doing it
Let me
now.
show you what now you talking about that. I found that one that they used during World War II or after World War II when they were trying to spray. Here's what they did. They took mosquitoes. Did you hear about that? They took thousands and thousands and thousands of mosquitoes, and they did a low-fly airplane over a neighborhood, and they just dumped out thousands of, googles of them, just black the sky with the mosquitoes. And what they did is that they just floated down, and they were looking at using mosquitoes in biological warfare to carry a disease with them. And when they dumped them all out, then they looked at how many people complained and went to the hospital and did all that. And that was documented on the History Channel that they did that. But it's like one of those things, little well-known. You're not very well-known type of things that they did on the government. That was with mosquitoes.
Welcome to the Zika virus.
Yeah.
Ever how many years later, the Zika virus was created in the laboratory. It was created by the Rockefeller Foundation, their pharmaceutical department, and then they were released. This is getting deep, ain't it?
Yeah.
They were released because they were supposed to kill something, but found out they were supposed to kill some kind of fly or something, that their larvae or something did, but it didn't work. Well, if it did work, it also morphed itself so that when they're bitten, the ladies are bitten, it kills their offspring as well.
Nibiru. So here's the thing. Trump pardons Nibiru whistleblowers.
Yep.
Back in the day. So he wrote something out that would give them a pardon. You want to play this and see what it does?
It's
only 4 minutes. Yeah, here we go.
4.5 minutes.
See what we got. Here we go. Donald Trump at it again.
Is coming soon.
Sound like a theater, don't it?
I like it.
Trump pardons Nibiru whistleblowers. In a display of characteristic leniency, last night President Trump signed a secret executive order pardoning Nibiru whistleblowers. His sprawling signature on the order signaled a desire to abolish the diabolical Nibiru cover-up that has loomed like a dark shadow over the free world. Granting blanket clemency to whistleblowers marks the second time in 5 days he has used executive orders to ease the pain and suffering Nibiru whistleblowers have faced for over 30 years. Last Friday, a stroke of his pen rescinded Ronald Reagan's Nibiru Secrecy Act of 1983. He signed last night's order in the Oval Office, in the presence of Dr. Ethan Trowbridge, a Nibiru whistleblower and former USGS climatologist whom Trump appointed to the President's Science Advisory Committee, SEC. This is a historic day for Nibiru whistleblowers, Dr. Trowbridge said. Finally, we can live our lives without fear of ridicule or threats against our lives and livelihood. President Trump is keeping his promises to himself, to the American people, and to Vladimir Putin. President Trump is on the right side of history. Unfortunately, The presidential pardons offer little comfort to the friends and family of Nibiru whistleblowers
listen to
whose
these
lives
numbers.
have been lost in the
Say
name
again.
of secrecy.
Listen to these numbers he's fixing to say.
Starting with Robert Sutton Harrington's inexplicable death in 1993, scores of whistleblowers have met with untimely demise. A 2014 independent study conducted by the Untimely Astronomers Death Committee, UADC, revealed disquieting facts. 8 astronomers died from tropical diseases, 6 perished in automobile accidents, 13 committed suicide, 18 dropped dead from heart attacks.
Come on now.
Dr. Trowbridge believes Trump's resolve
right.
will immediately end the clandestine war against Nibiru whistleblowers. For the first time in a long time, I truly feel safe, Dr. Trowbridge said. Many of us have lived in the shadows, living reclusive lives, communicating in secrecy to the best of our ability. Today, that ends. We can at last talk about Nibiru without fear of government retaliation. The executive orders, however, make no mention of American whistleblowers currently living overseas. The clemency clause applies only to American citizens residing in the United States or its protectorates. Dr. Trowbridge fears for his colleagues that fled the United States to avoid governmental prosecution. Dozens of persecuted scientists, he says, sought refuge in non-extradition countries, and may not have the resources to return home. They are stranded and helpless, Dr. Trowbridge said. I know of at least 2 who fled to jungles in South America. They were terrified of the CIA hit squads that routinely targeted Nibiru whistleblowers. We must bring our brothers home safely. While the United States and Russia have adopted policies promoting Nibiru awareness, other nations cling to outdated policies and procedures regarding Nibiru whistleblowers. Under Angela Merkel's rule, for example, Germany has waged an all-out war on whistleblowers. Many German Nibiru researchers have mysteriously disappeared. President Trump's desire to acknowledge Nibiru's reality shows he is willing to embrace worldly issues of earth-shattering importance. He has taken bold, courageous steps that infuriate his political adversaries. He still has a long way to go. He must apply the necessary pressure to compel foreign leaders to abandon their crusade against Nibiru whistleblowers worldwide.
Please like us and share with
There you
So
go.
now that is a wake-up call to some of you who trust your government. I got 2 rules about the government. Rule number 1 is never trust the government. Rule number 2 says never, ever, under any circumstances, trust the government.
I like them.
I like both those rules. I'm sticking with them because the more I learn about our government, the less I trust them, and I already don't trust them at all. So anyway,
They say we couldn't use the word Illuminati.
the word Illuminati,
We can't use the word Illuminati.
can't use that word Illuminati.
Can't use the beast.
Can't use the word, you mean the name the beast?
You can't use the name the
What
beast.
if I'm referring to a big sandwich?
No.
Can't say the beast?
Can't say the beast.
Because the beast might refer to somebody like the
The
Antichrist.
can't say the word Antichrist.
And we can't say the word Antichrist or the beast, or
Right.
we might be labeled as what is that?
Suspects.
Suspect
Yeah.
to
Conspiracy
conspiracy theories,
theorists,
trying to
right.
down throw the government. And
Right.
okay, so it's a good thing that we don't say words
They put us on the list.
Antichrist, beast, and last days and return of Christ and
Right.
rapture and yeah,
Trying to warn people what's going on.
yeah.
Special edition end time revelation. So here we have a man who has pardoned those people, and now that allows him to come out and speak about it.
Yeah, well, see, he got one on his staff.
Yeah.
That Trowbridge
Yeah.
guy, he's one of them.
Wow.
So because he was one of them, he says now my colleagues. You know, he's trying to he wants to get them back. And what about the number of people that died with heart attacks? That wasn't right. And
No.
then the other ones that committed suicide. That
Right.
ain't right.
That's right.
But that's what they make it appear to be when the death squad suicides from, you know,
Car
they're part of the
accidents.
black ops now.
Car accidents.
The government never has to own up to this. They never have to say, yes, we did it, because they didn't do it. They
Who's
just
messing
had
around?
it.
Who's messing around our cars out there?
They just had somebody
Go
else
ahead,
to
bro.
do
I'm
it.
just kidding with you.
I got a little protection if I need to carry it. But anyway, yeah, so that's the problem, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
the real problem, that people just trust the government. They'll listen to CNN and they'll listen to this and they say, that's just the way it is. That's the truth right there. Y'all need to really kind of wake up and do some independent studies and figure out what's really going on in the world and what's really your government's doing. Even the good scientists who were wanted to help the American public getting killed because of the information that they had, because they had access to information that needed to be published, and the government said, no, you better shut up. And now there's another government, thank you, Jesus, for Trump's administration, and that these people can come back.
That's sad, isn't it?
It's really sad. Really, really sad. But it's happening.
All around us, this is going on. And a lot of people are not even aware of what's taking place. So is this Nibiru thing real?
You know,
I mean, what do
I
you think
still
about
debate
this?
it in my own mind. I listen.
You know,
I
is the world flat?
Now, I'm pretty sure the world's not flat.
You know,
matter of
there's
fact,
some
we've
people
got a
believe
flat.
the world's flat.
Now, we do have a flat Earth in our break room.
It's a map.
It's a map.
Yeah,
stuck
flattened
to the
out.
wall.
It is. Somebody squashed that globe,
Yeah,
made it flat.
I do not believe it's flat myself.
Okay, you know, did we go to the moon?
Now, I don't believe we went to the moon.
How about
I believe that was a hoax.
Yeah, and there's all these other things you gotta deal with in your life. Figure out, did this really happen or
The
did?
reason I don't believe the world is flat, because I can call somebody at any time on the other part of the world, and it'll be dark.
Really?
And if it's flat, it needs to be
had a
dark
man-
and light almost
I
at the
had a
same
man
time.
call me one time from the other side of the world, wrong number,
Wow, that's
and
a
I
long
accepted
distance.
the call.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was on the other side of the world. The lady told me, she said, it's the furthest away you could have ever gotten to answer the phone. And it cost me, I don't have any much money. They
Just
reversed
to
the
answer
charges.
phone. They reversed the
They
charge and
reversed the
made you
charge.
pay for it?
No, well, just then they took it off.
Okay.
But you know, it's like $30, $40. And I'm going, what?
Wow.
What was this pay? As far as you could get around the world, that's what you answer, sir.
So you were somewhere around the India area. That's about as far
It
as
is
you can
wild.
go.
So anyway, I mean, so the Nibiru is, you know, I look at this here. We got a lot of great scientists that are looking at this thing, that are telling us. And some people say it's an internet hoax.
Yeah.
You know, that's not real and all. But there's a lot of people who look in the skies and they see Nibiru, the winged planet.
Man, you have looked on
Yeah, I had a man last night
that program.
in our study. I'm doing a program called Unleashing the Beast.
Don't
by
say
Paris.
that word.
Oh, that's right.
You're not supposed
I
to say the
forgot,
word
I forgot.
beast. We're gonna
Yeah.
get censored over here.
That's Unleashing by Perry Stone.
B-E-A-S-T.
Right, B-E-A-S-T, right. Unleashing the B-E-A-S-T. And it's by Perry Stone. And so one of the men, and I mentioned about the things that was happening in the sky in the last days. And I talked about Nibiru and all that, and the comet coming this weekend,
Yeah.
and what have you. And there's a man came up to me afterwards and said, hey, I've got pictures on my phone of the sunset with another sunset next to it. He said, I took myself. And I didn't get to see him. He said, I got them, though. I got to go get them so you can see them. I said, I want a copy of them.
I've seen others.
Yeah.
I've already seen others. So do I believe
Maybe the chemtrails is doing that.
putting that red dot beside
Mm-hmm. Could be a chemtrail.
our could be the blue beam.
Yeah, could be.
Could be blue beam, but I don't believe it is. So here I am stuck in the middle of this thing. I don't want to believe it. I really don't know if I should believe it. So I'm holding on that nothing's going to happen. But if it does happen, I'm gonna say, you know what? I really wasn't one way all the way or the other. I'm not on one spectrum.
Right.
I seem to be stuck in the middle.
That's like the rapture. I mean, is the rapture before tribulation,
Right.
or is it middle of tribulation,
Yeah.
or is it at the end?
Post-tribulation, yeah.
Which one is it?
I don't know,
mean-
but I'm gonna be ready for either one
Well,
when it
I'm
happens.
going to tell you what Perry Stone says. He says, I believe it's before.
Me too.
And he says, if I'm wrong, we're going to go 3.5 years in. And if we're wrong there, we're going all the way through.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
But when he comes, I still plan on being ready.
exactly.
Either time.
Any time, I'm going to be
So
ready.
if Nibiru comes through or not, I'm still going to be ready.
Right. So
But
anyway,
I can tell you what though, if
But-
it is and it does what they say, the world will change.
well, if it wasn't real and isn't real, why
Why
did they
this?
pardon these people?
And why did
Why was
Ronald
the secrecy?
Why did Ronald Reagan tell them to shut up or put up and
I mean, you think people just up there looking out in the sky saying there's a fire? I mean, it's like walking into a movie house, movie theater. I mean, there's free speech, but you can't jump up and say fire, fire, fire.
Right.
Or you can't say get down, get down. There's a shooter at the door. You better not be saying that.
That's right.
Even though you got free speech.
So, this lends to my mind credibility
Yeah.
to this whole
Might be.
Nibiru Planet X, or what else do they call it? Nemesis is actually the dwarf brown star, right?
Mm-hmm. And Reb Sutherland really talks about it. I mean, she's in on this thing.
Yeah, she's up on this.
This is real. This is real. This is real. She doesn't say I believe. She says I know.
Yeah. Well, I'm not knowing yet.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the evidence that they say is evidence. Mm-hmm. But one of the guys I listened to said, okay, if it had come through 3,500 years ago and it done then what they say it's going to do now, we'd already be still in a mess. We wouldn't be recovered in 3,500 years.
Really?
Yeah. If it was going to so distort our planet that it was going to pull that hard that it would have gravitationally loosened us up, and we would be out of orbit as well.
Mm-hmm. Look at the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, that's a big split.
That's pretty big. Might have been a big problem.
Could have been.
Ain't no telling what. And you look at how all these continents, they all fit together.
Yeah, that's right.
When they all form back.
Well, the Bible says in the days of Peleg, God divided the earth. That's in the book of Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
It's right there. That in the days of Peleg, was what his name is. Peleg, God divided the earth.
Wow.
Hey, it could have been Nibiru. He used it to divide.
Well, he could. That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
And and again, in the Bible where John said he saw these things happen.
Yeah.
There's two views that I see of this. One is that all things, all the judgments are supernatural. Everything's supernatural, every bit of it. But that's one view. The other one is that God uses natural events to bring about a supernatural event.
Yeah.
Like in the Bible where they sent, let's do this here, she-bears out that was laughing at the prophets. That wouldn't seem like a whole lot. But let's talk about this here. What about bees? Bees that was sent out.
That chased the Canaanites out.
Yeah, the bees.
What about the serpents that bit the Israelites were complaining?
Exactly.
What about the earthquake that swallowed up Korah?
Well, then that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about.
List, and it was all natural event in one way.
Get them all here. Get them all up here in the front. Why is that? Because I'm getting ready to open the ground up, suck them in. Get on down.
But it was some kind of an earthquake.
Right.
And then it closed right back up on them.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still supernatural.
Right.
But it was natural in a way as well.
Exactly. So, I mean, when you talk about hail falling out of the sky, so that if hail falls out of the sky, it's just not like the size of, I tell you what, how they do the hail thing is that how big was a piece of hail when it hit the ground? They'll take measure the indentation, like a coffee can. Take a coffee can and stick it in. They said, this is how big that hail was.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? When you place it in there, this is how big this thing is. And of course, it's got to melt and all the stuff, but that's the force that went in the ground. So I've seen hail the size of a coffee can that has been reported.
Wow.
That's big, and it's deep in a hole that it makes in there. So when we talk about hail being formed, we know that, the scientists tell us that it's water falling out of the sky, and the wind is blowing up so fast, it's picking the water back up, freezing it, it's falling back out of the sky, and the wind is so fast, it's picking it back up, dropping it down, and the wind's blowing it, picking it up until the hail is so heavy, the wind can't pick it back up, and then hail falls out of the sky at different sizes. And God can use that to bring it to defeat an army and bring about the last days apocalyptic type things that's going to be happening. So he could use the Nibiru as well. It's coming, and it'd be one of the things that's called wormwood.
Yes.
In the sky and the earthquakes and the shakings and the things that happen. I mean, we could be this close to the end already, not even know it. What do you think?
I agree.
But nobody can give us the time when it's coming.
Yeah.
I'm going, why can't you? I mean, you can tell me how far it is from here to there. And you can tell me how fast. But why can't you tell me when is this thing coming?
That's why that it speeds up and slows down. It's like, I think if that's true, as we pray and as we try to get God's mercy, it slows down.
It could be.
And if we don't pray and the world keeps getting more and more wicked, the faster judgment's coming.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. All right, so now we got another. It's 2:34. We got a sponsor.
Yes, we do. We want to recognize Lee Moore from the Orangeburg area. Lee Moore Pools. I don't have his number right in front of me, brother.
I don't either.
His phone number?
No, we don't have his number, but he's
Lee
Moore. Lee Moore Pool Services is the one that supports Project Seer. He does. It's really supernatural, but I cannot say that one at this time. So it's Project Seer is the one that he's supporting here, and we really appreciate Lee Moore. He was here last week on the program, and he brought a lot of different insights. So
and his number
call
is
him at this number here.
803 803-707-2258. Call Lee Moore Pools, 803-707-2258.
Now he's up on all this stuff.
Yes, he is.
I mean,
when you
he's-
call him, ask him some questions.
Ask him something. He'll laugh. That little laugh he's got.
Yeah, and then he'll come out with a long explanation.
There it is. But it'll be right too.
It's gonna be a long train ride. I can tell you, because he's got a lot of information.
He
he's gonna
supports
give you.
us, and he's a very smart man on all this stuff. So he's a great resource to be part of what we're doing here. He's fed us with a lot of information to bring
he
us to where
has.
we're at. I mean, he's kind of like he's way up here, and we're just kind of like a piece of hail trying to catch up to where he's at.
We're trying to hang on to his coattail. ain't we?
That's right.
Say,
Lee
drop
Moore
a little
Pool
bit.
Services.
Yeah, Lee Moore Pool Service. Give
All
him
right.
a call.
We got another one here that we're going to look at too. Now, this is just something just happened.
Super Bowl
This past Sunday. Was it this past? No, Sunday week ago. No, it's this past.
this past Sunday.
Man, do you realize how long it seems like that's been? This past Sunday was Super Bowl, right?
Yeah,
Is that right?
it is right. I didn't know
Oh.
until 2 days later who won. I didn't care.
Yeah, really.
I hadn't watched anything about what was on the commercials or anything. I didn't know
We
anything
went to
until we
church.
went to study it.
We went to church, had church, and I was expecting nobody to tell me the score. I got a phone call on the way home. Here's the score. I said, well, I might as well now just fast forward that DVR to that score point, because I already know where it's at. Right? See what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It was 21-0. I'm going.
Throw it away.
Yeah,
You noticed.
the first 30 minutes I can fast forward it to now. So anyway, but there, everybody wants to hang around in that the halftime, and Lady Gaga did the halftime
That's right.
on the Super Bowl, and over all the years that we allowed, even at church, when the kids would be in the back, they do the Super Bowl thing. We say, listen here, y'all, this halftime thing, this is not a good thing to be watching. So I know that even when it came on, and I watched it, and I had it recorded. I think I still got it. Got it recorded with Lady Gaga on there. There was just, I don't know, y'all. There was just something in my spirit. I can't watch this.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I don't know everything.
I could feel. I just watched it today.
Yeah.
All right, because we talked about doing a show on it.
Right.
So we talked this morning. I did a little catch up on it, and I'm sitting here thinking, I guarantee you, Aunt B would not let Opie watch this.
Right.
There's no way. And
Right.
as I was watching it, I felt the evil draw.
Exactly.
I felt it in my own spirit, brother. And I said, to myself, I resist this in Jesus' name.
Right.
I'll not be sucked into this mentality, nor give in to this worldly mindset.
Right.
But brother, it was powerful.
Yeah. And I remember that feeling, when I was there, you starting halftime, you're going to see how bad is it going to be before I have to turn it off and everything. So she starts singing her song, God Bless America. I think that's what it was.
On top of the building.
Yeah, on top of the building. And, and I'm going, well, this is not really all that bad. But then you start feeling that there's something wrong here. And this is just not good. And, and her clothing wasn't as risque as it had been in the past with Beyonce and different ones. So you kind of figure out, what is this going to be? And I told her, brother, I can't watch this. I got to turn this. I got to fast forward it. Got to get past this. I can't watch this on here. So we just get right on past it. Until now, people have dissected what was the meaning behind
That's right.
the video, because every time they just don't play in the millions and dollars of events and not have a hidden message. Now, one of the messages that we know that was hidden in this thing was when they did the coin toss. The coin toss was done by President Bush Sr. And, they wheeled him out on the wheelchair, when he did the coin toss. And when people look at that, they're saying, okay, at the beginning of the game, being sanctioned by the Illuminati, he
said New World Order probably more than any other president
exactly
before him or
that
after him.
It was a sanctioning. And you got to realize now, you don't see this, and you're thinking you're just conspiracy theorists. But there are people who are saying, no, we are putting the money out to purport this. You got to realize the devil is behind he's in the details.
Yeah.
So why you have this happening? And now, of course, he's from Texas as well, but it's bigger than that. So now you have someone sanctioning this event of the New World Order, of the Illuminati. So now let's go ahead and watch this video here.
Yeah, let's watch it. There's
All right.
more. He covers the performance by Lady Gaga.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take the word lady. Let's just call boo boo gaga man whatever.
Okay.
And but anyway, let's go ahead. We'll come back to it.
Hey, what's going on, guys? So Super Bowl number 51, LI in Roman numerals, lie, kind of an interesting wordplay going on there, kind of a perfect illusion going on throughout
Look at her
all the
eyes.
advertising and the
That was
halftime
at the
show with
beginning
Lady
of it.
Gaga. So I'm going to go through a lot of
Advertisement.
the advertisements that stuck out to me on a symbolic or
So he's
esoteric
going to do
or
advertisements and later
Illuminati-esque
her
type
Okay.
of level
performance.
and show you the underlying cohesion in the mass corporate ritual that is the Super Bowl. So let's
Yeah, see the
begin.
bird, and then his
I noticed
face.
a lot of
the
the
Egyptian.
ads were very pro-multiculturalism and very subtly anti-Trump in regards to the whole immigration issues that are going on right now, which I do think is to some degree manufactured tension between the left and the right, basically leading to the dissolution of all borders
666.
across the world, which is essentially the New World Order, which is the blending of all world cultures. But yeah, a lot of the ads were very heavy into the idea of multiculturalism and demonizing anybody who has any resistance to mass immigration and blending of all world cultures. And my question to viewers is, how long ago do you think they filmed some of these advertisements? Before or after the Trump temporary ban on those 7 countries? Because they seem to throw a lot of this emotionally manipulative political type of stuff together very quickly for the Super Bowl. Just something to think about. So on to the symbolic aspects of my breakdown. In this Life Water commercial, notice the rainbow symbolism. I'll be talking about the rainbow symbolism
Look at
later
the
on
eye.
in detail, but just note the kind of rainbow aesthetics within
Almost all the
this
commercials had the rainbow symbols
advertisement.
in it.
And then you also have the typical all-seeing eye in the middle of the 666 hand symbol. So you have this young girl in a cruciform position with the water or rain coming down on her with the all-seeing eye behind her. And I believe this is meant to signify the
all-seeing eye in the pavement,
transition
brother?
from the Piscean
There you
age
go.
into the Aquarian age. That's a theme that I see popping up a lot lately, especially when you have it in commercials with the all-seeing eye and
There's the all-seeing
666
eye
hand
with the
symbol.
rainbow.
So this is just kind of prep for the stuff I'll be talking
Life
about
water,
in more detail
rainbow,
later on in the video.
with
But
all-seeing
note
eye.
the all-seeing eye, the 666 hand symbol, the rainbow aesthetic, and the Aquarian type of water. So next up we have the show Legion on FX, which was actually I
Legion,
think the
brother.
most heavily advertised
For we are many
thing
demons.
throughout the entire Super Bowl. So Legion
That right
is
there
an
was just enough to say,
X-Men
y'all
Marvel
gonna
Universe
advertise
show.
Legion? That's a
And
demon.
Legion is actually
Exactly.
Professor
Use that
X's
for
son in the
advertisement.
comics. And remember, James McAvoy, who played Professor X, was just in a movie called Split, where he had 23 split personalities. The last one being the Beast. 2 divided by 3 is 666.
Can't say the word
So
beast.
James McAvoy's son, or Professor X's son, is Dan Stevens playing Legion in the show. Kind of an interesting web of connections there. The trailer states that humanity is currently evolving and that David, or Legion, is the key. And right when that's stated,
Hard to
we
see
have
that goat in the background, ain't it?
horned goat above his head.
Horned goat.
Black and red sort of inverted crucifix aesthetic going on here on the back of the wall. We have the tesseract, cube within a cube, black and red, with him as a child climbing through. And then we have an inverted pentagram on this chick's black and red shirt. So clearly
Coincidence.
satanic and Luciferian imagery all throughout the show, which would make sense because Legion is a biblical reference to demons or demonic possession, right? And the promotional ad for Legion that played just before Lady Gaga's symbolically encrypted, highly esoteric halftime show was this, where this child ascends into the night and goes up into the moon, akin
Yeah.
to
I saw
the
that baby
moon
float
child
out of that
from the
woman's
Luciferian
arm.
You said,
type
what?
moon child.
See, we don't need to
And,
watch
hey,
this.
and the word Legion written on the
Antichrist
wall at the
type
same time.
figure, which would make sense because Legion is a reference to demonic possession, right? And the X within the O, according to the head priest of the Church of Satan, is actually the mark of the beast. I see it as a 6 within a 6, so an infinitely spiraling 6 within a 6 is what the X within the O
Google Chrome
represents.
666.
And this directly segued into Lady Gaga's performance, where she started up on the top of the stadium, up amongst the stars. Well, they were actually drones, which actually indicates the technological progression that humanity has right now. We also have the red and the blue dialectical Masonic symbolism. So essentially, Lady Gaga is personifying the star child or the moon child, and she falls to earth like a falling star or a fallen angel, personifying Lucifer, right here she is basically Sauron, or the all-seeing eye of Saturn, the rings of time, the dark occult, hence the inverted pentagrams or the half-inverted pentagrams that are buried in part of the
You
earth.
see that?
I do.
And just listening to the song and lyrics that she chose, most can't read her poker face because they are symbolically illiterate. And Born This Way, let's remember what the introduction of Born This Way contained. The Saturnian black cube and the manifesto of Mother Monster declaring the birth of a race within a race, a transhuman eugenicized race within a race, right? I actually got this one from
Nephilim
Face Like the
offspring.
Sun on Facebook. All of
Genetic
the
tampering,
precious stones that she's wearing all over her jacket is like the description of Lucifer before his fall in Ezekiel. And remember, we just saw Lady Gaga fall from the stars onto earth like Lucifer. The tentacles of light are emanating out of the person personifying Lucifer, the light bearer. And then we have Lady Gaga catch this football in a corny-ass way, which I thought was utterly hilarious. It was amazing. It was hilarious. So that's all I got for Gaga, but let's now touch on this avocado secret society eyes wide shut type of commercial with the golden phallic obelisk, essentially making secret societies into a joke while basically openly blowhorning to the public the concept of hidden in plain sight and telling you that they actually do use subliminal advertising to brainwash you. But it goes beyond just the selling of products. It's selling an ideology, a philosophy, a way of perceiving reality in a very limited,
Everything
idiotic,
is demonic.
trivialized,
Yes, it is.
Everything.
superficial
Look
way.
at the golden
That's how the mind
obelisk right
control
there.
really
Yeah.
The golden
goes.
obelisk.
Mm-hmm.
The Mexico thing
That's
kinda
all
plays into the Trump thing
Messianic
as well.
symbolism.
I've also been noticing
Masons.
the use of gold a lot lately in this type of advertising, like the golden phallic obelisk, just like the golden KFC
Check out
dude. There's
Kentucky
something going
Fried
on
Chicken.
with gold, like the
He's all
alchemical
gold.
process of
Covered
turning
in
lead into
gold.
Gold is popping up more and more lately. and
Gold
I think
chicken.
There's something to it. Golden rooster or cock, golden obelisk, right? Next up, when the clock strikes 7, we have this GoDaddy internet commercial with this dude who kind of looks like me just a little bit, but not quite as good
Did you watch
looking.
any of this?
Kinda
Did you get
freaked
this
me
far,
out 'cause
No,
he
uh-uh.
looks like me a lot if you've seen images of me. But he has all of these internet symbols tattooed all over his body, kind of suggesting he is a personification of the lifestyle, the tech lifestyle that we are all living as we descend down the abyss.
I would fast
of
forward it through all
technology.
this.
Kind of playfully presenting the idea of transhumanism to the viewer, also poking fun at conspiracy theory, UFOs, I want to believe, disinfo type of stuff. And yeah, he likes that, he likes that, he likes that. Kind of the life that we're living right now, where we just like everything, we live everything through a digital, two-dimensional lens.
Look at the
And we
rainbows
also have
again.
the rainbow symbolism popping up again behind the internet. Wait. Is this real life?
Look,
Oh,
it's on the
interesting
flag
little
on
hand
the,
gesture you're doing there,
Tag too.
sir.
Yeah.
With that little Baphomet horns. Is that a little Baphomet?
Mm-hmm.
Now on to some more X within the O. X-Men. We have X-23, the new mutant. 2 divided by 3 is 666, repeating with the rainbow on her shirt. I would call the crossing of the rainbow bridge transhumanism, right? And we have this guy with the transhuman hand right here. So that's what it's all about. Next up, we have the Hulu original show, The Handmaid's Tale, with this sort of Scarlet Woman thing going on. And it's about these women who are used as like breeders, kind of an allegory of the genetic control that we're moving towards, where we're going to be growing babies in test tubes, but it's allegorized as these women as surrogate mothers to grow children for the elite class, and it's stamped with the all-seeing eye, just so you know.
Use them for
And
body
for this
parts.
H&R Block commercial, we have the Tesseract, or the Kabbalistic black cube. The cube basically symbolizing the basic building block of crude matter. The black cube is material in its crudest form, and the alchemical process of turning the black cube into the cube of light is basically the transhuman ascension process personified through symbolism. And that's why we have this dude in an illuminated cube of light at the end of the commercial when he introduces artificial intelligence.
My name is Watson.
You could also call the cube of light the fourth dimensional tesseract versus the three-dimensional cube of black death, just the black cube.
The dead have taken command of the sea.
Notice the gold popping up yet again on the 666
This is
name
Disney
of Disney
stuff
with
here.
the very prominent
that
lightning
don't look
strike,
Disney.
which
Kid-
can
that's
also
not children
symbolize
friendly.
Lucifer hitting Earth. Or
You think
the
Disney's
path
demonic too?
consciousness takes down the
Absolutely,
Kabbalistic
from the
tree
beginning.
of
Really?
life.
Yeah.
Johnny Cash is singing about angels when Javier Bardem and his black crew of death, or his crew of fallen angels,
And they're
set
walking on water.
death, cold to
Exactly.
They
black.
were running on water.
Yes. But they're
They
spirits.
sing
Yeah.
Evil.
Jack Sparrow in order to, I am guessing, go through an allegorical process of turning lead into gold, the blackening, turning the black into
Dead men.
gold. Hence,
Tail. No tail.
the skull at the end is adorned in gold. So again, more gold popping up with the same allegory being told. New World Order declaring Negan from season 6 finale with his bat he calls Lucille, aka Lucifer, smashes this football, symbolizing the trivialities of sports and the ultimate unimportance in the grand scheme of things that are going on. Interesting thing to note is
Walking
that the
Dead
actor who plays
returns.
Negan actually plays Bat.
All these were
Man's
advertisements,
father.
right? During the
No, don't you?
Transformers 5, The Last Night, very similar to
During the
Ford
football
or
game.
Anthony Hopkins' last narrative within Westworld called The Dark Knight. But anyways, we have the red and the blue symbolism. See his eyes go red, his eyes go blue, and then they are synthesized into the purple, which is the middle pillar, the synthesis of Jacqueline and Boaz. This film is literally about a transformer planet that swallows and ingests entire planets, called Unicron, akin to transhumanism and the passing of the rainbow, right? The transhuman process, which is basically the underlying allegory of every single trailer that I'm really talking about here. Next up, we have a Toyota Water commercial. Is that a 6 or a 9? Either way. Is that a 6 or a 9 right there?
Shows
I
up
don't know.
3 times.
Either way. Is this a 6 or a 9 right here? I don't know. Either way. So we have a 999 or a 666 with a water
Rainbow.
or Aquarian car Toyota commercial. So you get the point. Is that rainbow effect that I see right here a natural consequence of light refracting off of the car somehow, or was that added? I don't know. Either way, it fits. So yeah. And then we have Justin Bieber in this T-Mobile commercial using his comedic genius to celebrate this strong, empowered feminist figure beating boys at football because girls doing manly things somehow breaks down all of the boundaries and say goodbye to limits because feminism. Yeah, dude, you should probably stick to singing and skateboarding. Actually, scratch that. Please do not skateboard and do not try comedy, Justin Bieber. That'd be much appreciated. Well, that's all I got for today. There was a lot of other examples in other advertisements, but I don't want to make this a 20-minute long video. So hopefully you're able to follow along.
Wow.
There you go.
One thing after the other, at every commercial, the show, every stunt that was in the show, there was more. I've watched several of them just to get prepared, and there's so many homosexual overtones in her whole dance. and-
Everything had a rainbow in it.
well, but when she was dancing, the men who were supposed to be men were effeminate men. Just
Yeah.
you could tell their whole face, the way they dressed and the way they danced, it was all that. The woman who actually goes out like I don't know which part of the thing you would call it because I only seen tidbits of it, but Gaga's out like she's got left out on the stage, and one of the women dancers that were behind her runs up and grabs her in the back from like a shoulder lock and just hugs her real close, and it's a woman hugging a woman from the back and drags her all the way back to the crowd. And the close-up of that, it's almost like a love affair where this woman is holding Lady Gaga from the back, and it's all a homosexual overtone through the whole thing with the rainbows, with the idea of there's something coming that's going to change the whole world, and it's going to change us into transhumans. It's going to change us from who we are DNA to who we've never been before as a people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the whole mindset of what's going on in the science world and what's going on in the homosexual movement. It's crazy, but it's going towards the same end, and that is that there is a power coming to overtake the earth. And we know it's the Antichrist
Right.
spirit.
Yeah, and what was one of the things that they were talking about there was she was singing a song, I'm Born This Way,
Yes.
and after knowing what we know, I can tend to believe that a lot of people are born that way.
Only because of demon presence.
And the demons were transferred in birth, when
Right.
it,
Could have went down. That's right.
yeah, I mean, so that when they sing that song, I'm Born This Way, there's a viewpoint, no, you're not. And after what I've seen is that, well, when did you enter this person? They said,
That's
well,
it.
when did you enter this
It's not
person?
genetics, it's a spirit.
Exactly.
And the spirit can be passed out, cast out, but the genetics will still be the same. You are
Right.
the human that
Right.
you are because God created
Exactly.
that body.
So you get the spirit out, and then you can be normal.
You can be free and
You
normal.
can be free and normal. But the demon makes a choice, or they make a choice that who you're going to stay. You're going to stay with the host, or you go with the baby.
Yeah.
And when they say, well, hey, I've always been homosexual. Yeah, you were passed with that homosexual spirit.
Yeah. And, I believe this, just as sometimes we find out there's more than one Jezebel spirit in a person.
Right.
There could be more than one homosexual spirit. There could be many homosexual spirits that come into a person.
Yeah, that
And
was a
every
revelation
child-
to us.
It was. And every child could have one. And the mother or the father, whoever, I don't know, you really can't be committed lesbian, homosexual, and have children. Okay, you can get rid of that idea.
Exactly.
But so whatever they can pass on, yes, they can, and still the mother or father be affected by it as well. Somewhere they would all disappear.
Well, one time you're talking about having multiple spirits with the same name in it. Is we were setting a person free one time of a spirit of rejection, and of course, that's the first thing, come out rejection, and rejection comes out. We're going down through the list, and I said, well, who are you? He says, I'm rejection. Going, I just got you out. I'm a different one. I said, when did you enter? So I came in through the donor's donor.
Yeah.
And I'm going, what do you mean? I came in through the donor's donor. That person had had a kidney transplant, and that spirit came in through the donor. Was connected to that body part, and when I'm going,
I know.
this is nuts. This is crazy. This is worse than Nibiru. You got everything you touch, you got to be careful about.
Amen.
And everything. So
Everything
anyway,
you watch,
everything you watch,
every door of your body, your eyes, your ears, your mouth, your nose, your touch, every sensor in your body is susceptible to open a door to a demonic spirit.
and I think that's what this is that not everybody who watches this is going to be affected, but it's going to affect some.
A lot.
And that's all that the devil wants to do, is because you open the door up, you were primed meat for me, and now the oppression comes. And
if we just suppose, what time is it? Just suppose what? I'm on my last words. Just suppose this. If we were a demon horde, where would we be on Super Bowl Sunday? I would be at the Super Bowl.
yes,
Why? Because there's a strong demon presence there. And not only that, there's one of the most watched television shows in all times.
Right.
More people from all ages and all walks and all backgrounds are going to be watching the halftime show. It's more famous now than the football
You ready for this?
game is. And I'm going to get that TV. I'm going to get into the connection. I'm going to find me somebody
exactly.
right through there.
And guess what? All the Christians are watching too.
And that was the point I was going to make.
Yeah.
When you cut the TV on in your house, you just open up
sewer.
a channel. That's right. So demons can come into your house. You invited them in when you willingly
Exactly.
open that door.
Especially when
So
you know it.
If I was a spirit, I'd have been there and I'd have found me a place to go.
Right. Come right on into the house.
Now
and everything.
that makes Nibiru looks like a fairy tale, and just changes the whole perspective when you begin to think on a spiritual level. You throw away the flesh and just think in the spiritual level. There was a load of demons on that stage,
Right.
And there was a horde of them waiting to find people to get in who enjoyed it and opened the door.
Let me tell you how someone says, well, I just don't believe any of that's possible. You remember the commercials that used to have about the insurance, and they would have a person on the TV there, and something all of a sudden would happen. They'd be driving a car, and then it's kind of like this ghost would come, and you never know when it would happen, or you'd fall off be at work in a ladder. You never know when this would happen. And that was like the spirit of death is what it was. That at the television, that there was a child playing at the floor in that living room. And when that commercial came on and that was happening, the woman saw out of the TV come that spirit and reach over and just went right through that baby. That baby fell on the floor as if it was dead. And mother and father, who were believers in this here, ran over and rebuked the spirit of death out of that, and that baby survived.
Wow.
And so I'm just trying to say, you don't believe that, but I'm just trying to tell you that's what when we're talking this, that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Because of the stories of where it has happened.
Bro, I can tell from personal experience now. We do research.
Mm-hmm.
I do research on casting out demons, and there's sometimes running through these things at night, I've come across poltergeist advertisements that come up. When you do YouTube search, you got the windows that all show up, and I'm usually just doing Christian casting out demons. Well, sometimes, this happened just a couple of times, but not lately because I quit doing it. I'd see a poltergeist advertisement, and it'd be a woman standing up, and she's stuck to like a spider in the corner of the house. And I said, that's interesting. I'm going to see what that is. I knew it was demonic. And when I put that thing on, it was not showing the superiority of the power of the blood in the name of Christ over demons. It was literally glorifying the power of demons to manifest and change their environment. And I'm going to tell you what happened on several occasions is when I'm watching that, a spirit of fear comes out of that TV and gets in my living room. And the next thing, I got to cut it off, and I got to pray.
Yeah.
Because the spirit of fear is trying to get on me.
Right.
And I fight it off. And Sandra one time walked out of the bedroom. She's supposed to be back there. She walked out of the bedroom. She says, "What are you watching in here?"
Uh-huh.
And I said, "Honey, I was watching Poltergeist." She said, "You need to cut that off right now. Something's in this house."
Yeah.
She knew it. She felt it when I'm just saying, if it can come through with me watching Poltergeist,
Exactly.
when I should be watching the Christian side of
Right.
the victory, you can imagine the Super Bowl brought a lot of them in.
My daughter would tell me this. She said, she'd come in 3:00 in the morning. She said, "Daddy, you got to pray for me." I said, "Well," she said, I'm fearful of this and this, and I've never battled this before. And what I found out was what she would tell me what she was battling. Now this is years ago. This is years ago before any of this ever started. I say I've always prayed for people and helped people.
Yeah.
Like a big fear. I'd always pray for people and just cast out that spirit. And I didn't ask them were they believers and Christians and all this stuff, whether you believe it or not. I just pray for them. They'd be set free. My daughter would come and she says, "Daddy, I'm really 3:00 in the morning. I'm battling this. Will you pray for me?" And I would say, that's exactly what I cast out of that person.
It came
hours
home.
before. You know what I'm talking about? And she told me, she says, "Daddy, before you have a service like that," she says, "call me, let me know." We're right there at the same house.
Yeah.
"Tell me what you're doing over there so I can be in prayer for that." Isn't that weird?
Well, we know where that spirit went.
Yeah. I mean, it was before we knew to have to take this thing and bind it and send it out to a certain
Right.
place. You know what I mean? We just set people free. Well, it would go into the nearby and do what it can need to do. And I think that's the same thing with Super Bowl. It's trying to look for a place to get in and manifest with people. Man, we got 2 minutes, bro. We got to wrap this thing up.
Wow. So we seen in the Super Bowl, there is a demonic magnet attraction element there.
All the churches were watching too.
And they will, brother, some churches
Had it
showed
in
the Super Bowl.
Had it in the sanctuary.
That's right. Yeah, and they call it the Supper Bowl. They'll give you food so you can sit there and watch the Super Bowl. I wonder
demonic
how many
activity.
demons they need to cast out of their church
Exactly.
right now. And if they need to call us because they don't know how, just call us here at the station and we'll come help them get them out
Isn't
of
this
their
so
church.
sad that the church world has done it? They don't have. I mean, we had service that night, but even in that you don't have it or what have you, but you're opening yourself. No, the pastors have no discernment.
Yes.
They have no discernment and letting that come right on into their church. Next thing you know, they'll be having Muslims in the church preaching or have Chrislam in the church, in the last days. Isn't that something? Well, I've been your host, Henry Schaefer. Thank you so much for being part of what we're doing here. Steve, you say goodbye, and then I'll run us to music here.
All right. I want to thank everybody for joining us here on our Seer program, and we look forward to seeing you next Thursday, same time, same station.
Wow. We talked about Nibiru. We talked about the football. What else can we talk about? You need to tune in next week to Project Seer. God bless you for listening today. Thank you for tuning in today. We've been your hosts, Henry Schaefer and Steve Hall. The end times are here. Anything is possible. Are you ready? Don't miss the next episode of Special Edition End Time Revelation.